All right, I think we're live here. So you guys have probably put two and two together. This is not Zach. I'm actually Rick, and I'm actually the founder of Flip with Rick. Zach is my son, and he's been working in the business with me. And I know a lot of you guys know Zach. So I thought it'd be a great idea to go ahead and have me jump on, and I'm going to share a subject that's near and dear to me in real estate investing, and it's probates. And I'm really good at it. And what I want to do today is share with you tips, tricks, and techniques we use in our current business right now to just kill it on probate. So what I'm going to do is wait for some people to pile in here. If you guys could comment and just make sure the voice is okay. I'm not a technical wizard like my son, but I do tell you, I know real estate. So if you're going to have questions, this is going to be the platform. Specifically, if we can try to focus on probates, I know if you have a question, I mean, somebody else has a question, is maybe a little bit shy to ask. So let's see here. So before I get started, I'm not here to sell you guys anything. Actually, the whole idea of this is to answer as many questions as we can for you. So what I'm going to do is, if you want to know more information on how to get more advanced probate training, go to probaterick.com. I created this course, almost 6 years ago, and it still works to this day. And actually, Zach helped me update it to bring in SMS, cold calling, and all that other fun stuff, and really update the script. So if you need to know more information on how to get a hold of my probate course, it's called Priority Probate System, PPS, and we have a new one launched 2.0. It's been out there forever. It works. Probates is once you learn how to use it, you can kind of set it and forget it. So that's my final sales pitch on it. What I'd like to do is walk you through a brief presentation, and I'm going to show you what a probate is, the process in attacking probates, and hopefully I can answer your most basic questions. So what we'll do is, let me check and make sure everybody can hear me here. Oh, cool. I got Joe, see Barbara, and I'm going to jump in, probably take about, I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes, might be a little bit longer, and just go through a quick presentation. And if you want to learn more about the probates, this is actually free. So do me a favor, write down your questions, or even if you want to go ahead and post them while I do it. And once I get through with the presentation, I promise I will answer your questions in the order they pop up. I will stay within a reasonable amount of time to answer questions. Let's try to keep it on probate so we can help everybody else. And I see over there, so awesome. Let me figure out how to share this screen. So bear with me 1 second here. I might bounce off for a sec. Okay, cool. So hopefully everybody can see my screen. I'm going to assume you are. Let me make sure here. Let me see if I can see it. And I'm going to do a quick presentation here on probates. So if you guys have never been familiar with probates, it's a real simple process. I'm going to walk you through step by step. So who am I? If you guys just jumped on, my name's Rick Ginn. Zach is my son. He started in this business actually, late 16 years, 17 years of age. And you guys know his success level and going on with real estate. And so if you are under the age of 20, I don't want to hear about it. So you guys know I didn't start real estate till I was 33 years old. So it doesn't matter when you start. You can be retired. You can be 15 years old. It doesn't matter. It's your desire. So I founded Flip with Rick, and I've been doing this since 2003. So 17 years experience of flipping houses. As I said earlier, if you want to find out more about some of the teachings I have on probates, you can go to the probaterick.com. It should be there in the banner. This has actually been the #1 selling probate course since 2013. So to show you, I've been doing this a really long time. And it's really a step-by-step detailed process. And we updated it just over a year ago to use some more modern marketing techniques, SMS, do cold calling, and we've updated the entire course. We also give you the seller secrets and actually give you courthouse recordings of us talking to the courthouse on how to pull probate leads. And so listen, you don't have to buy this. This is not why I'm on here. So I told Zach, I'm not here to sell anything. For those of you who want to take it to the next level, just check it out. It's got a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's really, really cheap too. But just check it out and listen to the story and actually show you the proof of the concept. So let's take some information today. And if you decide you want to go further with it, just go to probaterick.com and you can get more information on it. So let's dive into it. What are probates? Now, I'm going to use layman definitions here, okay? So I'm not going to get all technical on you. Probate's really simple. It's when somebody passes away and they own a list of assets, typically properties, cash, jewelry, cars, boats, and those properties were titled in their name. A probate is set up to make sure that that the deceased person's wishes are followed through. Now, most of the time, this is why people have a will. So your will and testament gives your final wishes, like who does the house go to? Who do the cars go to? Can you split my assets up evenly amongst the 2 children, the 3 children? And depending on what state you're in, they're going to appoint what we call a responsible party or person. Now, there's terminology used in the States. Executor is a common name. PR, which stands for personal representative. Those are the 2 most interchangeable names you'll hear on probates. Real simple, that's the person who is appointed and awarded by the court to follow through on the wishes of the deceased through the probate process. The probate process is just a second set of neutral eyes, usually from the state that the assets reside in, to make sure that everything goes down the way the deceased wanted it to. So if somebody dies without a will, which we're going to get into a little bit later, then it's up to the courts to help decipher on who in the family is going to receive the proceeds of those assets, but we'll dive into that. So probate terms you need to be familiar with. We talked about probate. It's just the process of ensuring the deceased wishes are carried out. And there's usually a state that oversees it through a probate court system. So anytime somebody passes away and they own assets, especially a car, a boat, a house, lots of jewelry, they must go through the probate process to ensure titles moved over. Keep in mind, if someone's name is on a deed of a house and they have not signed over that deed, if they pass away, the only way that deed can be changed is through a court process, typically, which is going to be probate. So it's going to be the personal representative or the executor. We're going to teach you how to get familiar with your state terminology for probates. Don't let these words intimidate you. They're really simple. It just means the person who is in charge. So the probate process. So the first thing is, I remember my biggest mistake in probates, just to let you know, I told you I started in 2003. I didn't start doing them till 2012, 2013. That was my biggest mistake. And if you guys can learn from that, I let 10 years of my best investing go by without even doing probates on purpose. So the reason I didn't do it, because to be honest with you, it freaked me out. I didn't want to deal with dead people. I felt there was a stigma to it. And I wasn't really educated on them. So what I did is decided to go through. Now I'm in Florida. We're in a judicial state, which really doesn't make that big of a difference in probates. So you're either in a judicial state or a non-judicial state, which affects how a foreclosure is going to work and how title of the property is. So I'm not going to get all into that. So I've taught thousands of students all over 40 states. And here's the weird thing is every state has different laws on probate. So basically, let's talk about the 48 states in the US. There's, I believe, 3,600 counties plus. Every county operates a little bit different. So I'm going to challenge each and every one of you, just take 20 minutes out of your day, every day for at least like 2 weeks and study your state probate laws. Now, the neat thing is if you go to your court system in your state, it all has to legally be listed on there. You do not have to be a lawyer to read your probate process. It's actually quite simple how it works. So educate yourself on probate, specifically your state. I don't have time to walk through 48 states and 3,600 counties. So we're just going to use some neutral terms that's pretty much going to work in most of the states. So here's the reason why I absolutely love probates, okay? Just so you know, I stumbled on them in 2012 because I was sitting down with my accountant and he told me I needed to do more deals like this. Now, what he noticed is he picked out 5 deals I did that year and they were my 5 most profitable deals. And guess what? They were all probates. He says you need to do more like that. That's when I decided to become completely educated on probates. I also found out I had very little competition in my area for doing them. The neat thing is a lot of these properties are really unwanted properties. A lot of owners are out of state, grandma and grandpa. A lot of neglect and needed repairs on these properties. Why? Because let's face it, when people get older in their life, it's hard to take care of a property when you're 74 years old, 75 years old, and you got some wood rot or the house needs painting. Back in the day, grandpa used to take care of everything, but as they get older, they have to focus on their health. And why not? They deserve it. They should focus on their health. So a lot of these probate properties, they're basically vacant. I'm going to shut this off. They are vacant and a lot of them are in need of repairs. So it is the perfect opportunity, especially if you want to get into wholesaling. If you can find probates in your area, specifically your county, I promise you they will be your biggest, fattest paychecks. They will have the most meat on the bones, and they usually are the least amount of hassle once you get working on them. So benefits of pulling probates. Now, here's the really cool thing is most of the time you can't buy this list. Well, Rick, how am I supposed to work if I can't buy this list? If you can't buy the list, that means nobody else in your area can buy it, and it gives you a huge head start, which means much less competition. Also, I'm going to let you know with probates, they are the single greatest source for putting together creative financing deals. Think about it. Why would it be good for creative financing? Well, when a person passes away, is the family worried about that person's credit? No. And quite frankly, is the bank going to chase down the heirs if there's some sort of negative financial reporting? They can't. They can only do it with the person who signed that loan. So if they pass away, it's a perfect opportunity to take over the financing, do a subject to. I'm not here to create, to teach you everything about creative financing, but I will tell you, if you like creative financing or you're even like slightly interested in it, find a way to do probates because they are the easiest, fastest way to do a creative deal, because taking over a dead man's deed is very, very little resistance. So now most of the probates I do are in very, very nice areas. Very few of them are ever in the hood. So you don't have to worry about, rough properties. And once again, being in the nice area creates much less competition for what we're doing. So Probate single-handedly, listen to the guys, if there's only one thing you get from this, they are my very, very best deals. I'm helping people solve a problem, and I'm taking over a problem and going to make the community better. The sellers get cashed out. It's a win-win for everybody involved. So do me a favor, before we go any further, and I'm not the technology guy, is go ahead, smash that like button if you like what we're doing. Go ahead and subscribe. Listen, the more likes, the more people ask questions, the more I can help you out. Guys, I've been doing this 17 years. Take the time and learn from this. And I said at the end, just put your questions in there. I promise I'll get through every one of them. But do me a favor, just go ahead and share this. If you're part of a RIA group, go ahead and share it, especially for anybody who wants to talk about probates and learn more on how to do them. So smash the like button and hit that subscribe. So step one, pulling probates. Guys, do not overcomplicate this. This is really, really simple. Just where do you get the probates from? You get them from your courthouse. Now, keep in mind, 3,600 counties, every county is different, but all probates derive from the probate court system within your county, which is within your state. Now, I'm sorry about that. So the stuff you're going to need from a probate lead. So the first one you need is the descendant's name. That's the person who passed away. Then we talked about the PR. Remember, PR just stands for personal representative or executor. You're going to need their name. And then obviously you want the PR's or the executor's mailing address. Okay. Now, in some states, I'll give you a little tip here. You might want to write this down. In some states, you can get this information online, which is good and can be bad. I'll go into that when I answer all your questions. Number two, in some states, I know in like the state of Michigan, that they put the PR's personal phone number on the court docket. And in some states, you can actually get the physical property address off the probate. Now, if you're in a state like my state does not put the descendant's probate property address on there, typically what we have to do is just cross-reference it with our local county appraiser's office. And so if it's John Smith, you can just look up John Smith and look at the property, and you'll see if he has any property within that county, and you can put 2 and 2 together. So this is the basic information there. Number two, marketing for probates. Really, really simple, guys. Do not complicate this. Now, this list is not in like preferred order. I'm just going to go through it. So email is a great way if you can get their email address to help follow up with them, as long as you get off the spam list. My favorite way is always going to be a letter. So yes, you can do a postcard. I recommend postcards for follow-up. Letters tend to hit the best with all my data from probates. Why is that? Because it's physical. These are older people, and it's a little bit less intrusive, and they hold on to these letters for a long time. Postcards tend to get tossed away, and that's the problem. I do them for follow-ups, but never on the initial one. Now, I will tell you, we've recently incorporated SMS, and if you guys haven't had a chance, you go over to batchleads.io/Zach and set up an SMS. You get 500 free texts when you do that. You can do RVM. Make sure before you do an RVM, we can't do it in the state of Florida. So make sure RVM stands for ringless voicemail. It's a great technique. And then the other one that is most often overlooked is cold calling. But I like to use a phrase, and we call it warm calling. You've got to learn on how to have the art of the conversation when you call someone who's deceased. You got to be a human, and you have to have a heart for it. So if you guys got any cold calling questions, when I wrap up the presentation, I'll go through and answer as many as I can for you. But my favorite is the letter. SMS works well. RVM, if it's legal in your state. Cold calling works well. Use a postcard or an email for follow-up. That pretty much sums up on how we market for probates. So you got a list, you do the marketing. Now, if you're looking to buy your probate leads, there are companies out there that will sell you this. Just like anything else, people will sell you just about anything. Now, I know it sounds super sexy just to be able to buy this list, and that's what I did in the beginning. But after 3 months of getting absolutely no deals, I made a shift. And what I found out is anybody buying those lists, if you're buying it, that means probably 5,000 other investors are buying it. And the lists are often very outdated. How old are they? Usually 30 days plus, if not 60. Now, in the old days, we used to buy like 6 months worth of data and try to mail it out, but that doesn't really work anymore because the information's so old. So if you're going to buy a list, you're typically going to be months behind all your competition, and you're going to miss out on quite a few deals. So I will tell you this: if you have a way to connect with your local courthouse in the probate courts to get, even if you have to go down to the courthouse and pull them out, those are the best leads to get, because very few people are going to take the time to do that. So don't get discouraged if that's the only way you can do it. And if you're going to do it, just take the time and talk to the staff. They will usually give you simple guidance on how to pull the probate leads. Sometimes these people make it very, very complicated. Now, as I said earlier, a lot of counties you can pull this stuff online. You might have to pay a fee to do that, but it's well worth it. So let's talk about probate sellers. You've got to understand you are in this business to do what? To absolutely help people. So people are hurt. If you've ever had someone pass away, it sucks. There's no other word for it. So we try to be empathetic. We try to just be human and let them know we're there to help us out. So your job is to create a win-win solution. If they're looking to sell that house and you're a willing buyer and you can solve the problem and help guide them through it, that's how you want to approach probates. Probate is not about, hey, let me buy the house as cheap as I can, ring it out. In reality, we're into real estate investing to solve like people problems. And that's what you have to do. Probates is no different. You just have to keep it in mind. So especially if you get into the cold calling, which I like to call warm calling, you got to have a heart when you call these people. So here's a little tip. I get tons, let's just say I get a lot of deals from probate attorneys. So Rick, how can I get deals from probate attorneys? Guys, I'm pretty much giving you away like stuff I have charged like forever for. It's simple. You just have to connect with them. You have to, what I start out with, start with an email, then go to a phone call, and then just reach out and connect with probate attorneys. Why would I reach out to probate attorneys? Because they're dealing probates in nonstop 5-6 days a week, and they know who's selling properties, and they know who has problem properties that need to be sold quickly to investors like us. Now, we're probably not going to be buying the stuff they're going to list with a real estate agent, and that's fine. But a lot of times they're going to give you the properties with deferred maintenance that are vacant, and they typically, here's the key with most probate attorneys, they want to bring you in so they can get paid. So how do I contact a probate attorney? Guys, really simple. Pick up the phone, use your email, or try the tried and true method of stopping by on what we used to call a sales call and just reach out to the attorney. Now, a lot of probate attorneys are tied in with title companies. So if you're doing any current closings or you're trying to work with a investor-friendly title company, find out if they have a probate attorney they work with. So I figure out how I can. So if you have your camera phone, take a quick photograph of this, because I'm not going to leave it up forever. This is basically a cold calling script we use to reach out to probate attorneys. It's really, really simple. Just be peppy, tell them what you do, get directly to the point, and let them know you want to work out a relationship because you buy houses for clients in that exact situation. And I'd be happy to refer other clients who need probate for our services. We have a lot of people that reach out to us that don't even know how to start the probate process. So a lot of my deals is I will direct them towards an attorney to put a contract together. What better person than to refer them an attorney that's already referring you business? So guys, take a quick screenshot. I'm going to take this off the screen. Don't overthink this. Just pick up and talk to people. The key to getting to a good probate attorney is get past the receptionist. So a lot of times if you just drop off a little chocolate basket or just kill her with kindness, they'll usually set you up an appointment. So go ahead and use the script. It's not complicated. You just have to actually make the effort and make the call. So let me give you a little bit of warning on probates, guys. Some counties, they actually do not provide it for free. Now, there is a big movement in all these counties in the court system is to protect people's privacy. And I get it. Because so many of these data companies go in and try to pull this information and sell the data. And that's not what the court system's set up for. So if you're in your county and you're a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, you are entitled to that probate data. Now, I said you're entitled to it. I didn't say they're going to make it easy for you to get it. So here's what I do is when I was learning the 3 counties that I was personally marketing here in Florida, I would actually go to the courthouse. I would go see the information desk, and I would make an appointment for somebody in the probate court to help explain the process on how I can pull them. Once they saw I wasn't going away and I was going to be polite and courteous, I got it. But it took me time. So don't expect to walk into a courtroom and expect people just to magically just work for you. It doesn't work that way. You have to be persistent, and you have to learn with every piece of nugget they give with you and learn how the process works. Some counties you actually physically have to go out and pull the file, and you have to learn. Can I use my phone and take a picture of the doc? Some counties let you, some don't. You got to figure out what the rules is. Just don't go in there and start taking pictures and get kicked out right away. So a lot of counties, you pay a fee anywhere from $50 to $250 for court access. If you can get that, definitely get it. Keep in mind, everybody else has access to that as well too. And some of the leads are actually free. So what I first do is I start out and I just make a phone call before I even go in there. And then I'm going to go in there, and then I'm just going to be persistent, and I'm going to kill them with kindness. And I'm going to figure out to get as many probate leads from my court system as possible. So step 3, guys, and this is actually the easy part, because at this point you've gotten the list, you've marketed to them, you either called them, maybe you sent them a text, or maybe you sent them a letter. And so now we're going to go out and meet with the PR member, which is personal representative, or the executor, and get the property under contract. Now, here's a little tip. A lot of our sellers are people out of state. Why is that? Because grandma lived in Florida and her son lived in Nebraska, and now he has the problem of liquidating this house. So my little secret for you is make it as simple as possible. If you get access to any of these online softwares, we use the heck out of it in our company, like DocuSign. I think there's just tons of them. There's probably 5 or 6 services out there. I know there's a small fee with them, $10 or $20 a month, but it makes it really simple. If you really want to go old school, back when I did this in the day, we would get a FedEx overnight envelope, put it in there, but it typically costs you about $25, $30 to overnight it. And then you got to see if you got to supply everything for them to send it back to you. So if you have a chance, use like a DocuSign, anything like that, and they can electronically sign your documents, and it makes it a heck of a lot easier. So after we meet with them, we get it under contract. Here's what you want to do. Practice 1 hour every day explaining the probate process to yourself or a family member or a friend to become an expert on probate. So when you start your marketing process, actually you will get so enlightened on how the process works. Well, what happens is the sellers are going to pound you with questions. So the neat thing about it is you don't need to know everything about probates. And that's a huge mind shift I had when I did it. If you don't know the answer to it, you're going to go to your title company, you're going to go to your probate attorney, or you're going to reach out to someone like Zach, myself, or reach out maybe in a forum and get the right answer. Don't try to make up answers you don't know the answer to. So what you can do is you will hear the same common objections. Once you hear the same objections, if you rehearse on how to respond to them, it will become like second nature in your marketing, and people will go to you be the probate experts. Here's the deal. If you have, say you have 4 or 5 investors in your market, and you're the only one that's truly the expert in probates, you are going to outshine them. You're going to stand out, and more probate people are going to want to do business with you. So practice, rehearse. And if you don't have an answer, just say, listen, I don't know the exact answer to that. Let me reach out to my partner and I'll give you a call right back. So if you don't know the answer, don't make one up. It's not going to make you look any smarter, and you'll often lose the deal on that. So last one, step 4 is you have it. Now you have it under contract. All you simply have to do at this point is go and find, I recommend finding a good cash buyer. So the easiest way to find the cash buyers in your market with the least amount of resistance, go to listrei.com, look up the cash buyers in that zip code, and you can simply, what I would do, I would cold call and text them, however I can get it out as fast as possible, and then you can harvest them for your long-term cash buyers list. So once you get really good at pulling process and getting some deals, you can record your exact probate process. And here's the neat part is, so many people try to automate probate marketing before they have actually done a deal. Don't do it that way. Go do 2 or 3 probates on your own. Pull the list, do the marketing, put it under contract. You deal with everything, you get the seller. And then once you get some capital to flip some of these, then you know what the exact process is. Then you can train a VA to do a lot of the stuff for you. So there's a lot of monotonous tasks that can be done, but do not give a VA your entire probate system right off the bat, because you've got to walk a mile in someone's shoes before you can tell them exactly what to do. So guys, you got to dive in and you got to do it yourself. I recommend doing your first 2 or 3 deals and then bring in some help so you can scale it. How do you scale it? You just keep adding on more counties and filling up your pipeline. So let's see here. So listen, if you want all this information summed up, I have everything in there. I have the ad copy. It's made me ridiculous amount of money. So millions. And over 4,000 plus students have used it with it. If you want to check it out, go to Probate Rick. Listen, you don't have to buy anything there. Just go and check out the story. It will answer a lot of questions for you. And I'm going to share one last tip for you when this wraps up here. Let me stop this. And now we can get. Let's see here. Where is everybody? Okay. So one last final tip for you. And I share this all in the courses, but you don't need worse. You never have to wait till the probate's wrapped up. Most lawyers say that because it's basically how they can run the fees up on it. I'm telling you, you do not have to wait till probates are done. You simply file a motion with the court system to liquidate the asset. Now, the money doesn't get dispersed till the probate's wrapped up, but the beauty of probates, especially when it comes to real estate, is you can easily end the nightmare. You can end the mortgage, you can end the utilities, you can end all the deferred maintenance, all the insurance costs, so it doesn't eat up the estate. So if you guys want to learn more, go to probaterick.com. I tell you what, here's what we're going to do here is so I already have a list of questions. I'm going to take them in order. And if you guys think of a question, just shoot it off the hip. And if hopefully we don't ask the same questions here and we can get this going. So I'm going to be a little bit behind. Let me start from the top. Cool. Okay, so Jay asks, what is a probate? A probate is simply a process. So when a person passes away and say they own a piece of real estate, the reason probate's there, and probate's been around for thousands of years, even in old like Greek times, the probate process is there to ensure that the house gets passed down to the correct person. So if I passed away today, like say I got hit by a car, and I don't wish that on anyone, the only way I can transfer the deed on my property is to go through the probate process, because a dead man cannot sign a deed. So the probate process is there to ensure that you follow a last will and testament, which basically gives the instructions on who's in charge of the family to disperse the assets. And if there's no will, then they go through a court process, and it's up to a judge to decide how everything gets dispersed. So I hope that answered that for you, Jay. And he's got a follow-up question here. How do I get the money to be able to buy the house from the motivated seller? Simple, Jay. It's not your money. So in wholesaling in general, if we find a buyer for the property and we match up a seller, and what did I tell you? The one huge benefit of probates is what? Most of them are run down. And here's the one you guys got to really listen to. They're vacant. It's so easy to sell a vacant property. You have access to a property nobody's living in. So in my humble and honest opinion for wholesaling, probates are the greatest properties to do. So Jay, what happens if you had the property under contract for $80,000 and then you had a buyer for say $95,000? You can set the deal up where the buyer actually takes over your contract. It's called an assignment of contract, and you can actually take the difference on it. It's the art of wholesaling. So stick around. I know Zach teaches the heck out of this to you guys, but I've been doing it since 2003. So cool. Okay. So marketing questions. I love this. So Joe says, what techniques is best for in Florida in your markets? I personally like the letter. Letters are more, they go in an envelope. To be honest with you, it's more of a formal piece and it tends to stick. Also, when we do the letter, if you think about it, when a probate's filed, most people file probates within 30 days of somebody passing away. So I want you to understand they're getting a letter. So I get a letter that says, hey, are you interested in selling this property? Usually enough time's going by where if they're open to selling the property, you can get a positive response and they call you. That's the easiest way to do it. Keep in mind, if you're calling off obituaries or some aggressive thing like that, I don't know about you, but like I'm probably not going to sell you the house if you're calling off like a family member's obituary. It's very like ice cold. I like letters. I think letters are the best. SMS works. And number 3 would be cold calling. But please, if you're going to cold call, make sure you have a script. So we do what we call like a warm call, because it's, they don't want to be considered like a grave digger. So, cool. So Joe, letters, SMS, and cold calling. Good question though. Obi asked, do you find realtors getting on in the probate leads to be much competition? Yes, but keep in mind, realtors are there just to list the property. We're there to buy it. So if the property is vacant and it's run down, I'm usually going to have the upper hand over the realtor. So realtors do market the probates. It's a smart strategy for them. My go-to line, if I ever have to deal with a realtor, is I remind the seller that the realtor is looking to list the property and go through a long, exhaustive process. Most people reach out to me probate, they want to wrap it up as quick as possible. A realtor is not going to be able to wrap it up as quick as possible. It's usually going to drag on longer approval processes, inspections. Most people don't want to do all that on like problem properties. So now, so we compete with realtors mostly. I think that's right. So Jay says he's 16. So Zach started in his 16. So there's nothing. I didn't start till I was 33. So think of how much further ahead you are than I am. Oh my God, if I started at 16. So I have the perfect question here. So Barbara, do I need to wait for the probate process to be completed to do the transaction in Florida? Answer is no, absolutely 100% not. And I have over 200 transactions on my belt to prove that. By the way, 90% of lawyers will tell you the complete opposite, because they don't want to sell the house till the entire probate property is completed, because they feel that's the way they need to do it. The reason they do that is it puts them in control. And number two, they want to make sure everything goes through their hands so they have the most billable hours. Purchase data and called executors, and the biggest objection I hear is it's not out of probate. So perfect. So Barbara, once again, you don't need to buy my course, but if you want to learn an advanced strategy, I actually put the ad copy on the letter and it's all in there, and you just use the exact one I say. But the hook and catch is here. So if you're in Florida, this is easy. So it's a little bit different in each state. So in the state of Florida, is a lot of these properties become a burden. There's mortgage, you almost got to mow the lawn. Think about it if you're like 1,000 miles away or on the other side of the country. You got to pay the insurance, you got to paint the house, sometimes you got to deal with an HOA. And what happens if you held this property, say the probate process was taking like a year, that 1 year of fees would bleed into the estate and it would actually cause it harm. So a good attorney, if we have a contract, so what we want to do is if we can enter into a contract with the seller, I try to avoid the attorney at all costs, but typically they want to review the contract, which is fine. But if they agree to enter into a contract, then the attorney can basically take that contract and submit it to the court. There's all sorts of technical names. I'm not going to get in the legal part of it. They're basically asking for permission to liquidate the asset. Now, once a judge signs off on that, usually within 30 days, then that asset can now be given to the title company, and the buyer and the seller can move forward. So say if there was $100,000 in proceeds, that money goes into account for the probate. And then if the probate takes another 6 months, then the money gets settled. The advantage of doing that is the house isn't costing them any more money, and the person who's in charge of the PR, the executor, doesn't have to worry about like all the bills, everything going on with it. So yeah, it's go to Probate Rick. I explained it all there. You do not have to wait till the probate process is over. Guys, here's the question I would ask myself. Rick, how long does it typically take to do these deals? Typically, I'm well under 90 days, usually within 60, 65 days. So sometimes court systems gets backed up. With this COVID process, things got a little bit screwed up there for a while, but they look like they're getting back on the pace. But excellent question, Barbara. Awesome. Wait, do you find probates that are being transferred via living trust? Yes, and it's a little bit more advanced process, but Once again, that's someone you can sit down with a title company or a probate attorney and go through between a living trust, a land trust. There's all sorts of ways properties can be transferred. So Joe has a question. What document in probate falls under for properties under the minimum amount? I believe that's for their inherited lots because I never see them. Well, each state sets their own requirements. So you can do, a lot of it depends if the home was, has some sort of homestead exemption. So like in Florida, there's, if the house is homesteaded, which means you lived in the house, you resided there, and it was your principal residence, is you can actually file to get the property out of probate, but they all have like limits. So some states it's 500,000, some states are 300,000. All states are very different. And some of them look at the entire probate, meaning stocks, jewelries, bonds, and real estate, cars, any other assets. So once again, going back and learning and studying your state laws will give you the exact answer to that. So if you need help finding it, let me know. It's usually going to be on your court system. And there's always a link in every state with each county to explain the probate process for you. So Isaac says, great information. Guys, keep asking questions. That's the only way we learn on this. So DeMario's been subscribed for a while. He's like, who is this guy? For those of you who don't know me, my name's Rick. I founded Flip with Rick. I've been doing this since 2003. I jump-started Zach and actually just helped Zach jumpstart in real estate as early as 16. And I love this business, man. I've been doing it a super long time. So Chris says, heard you might be able to buy a probate list. What are the pros and cons? So as I said earlier, the pro of buying a probate list is it's super convenient. Think about it. I'm just going to hand you this list, and it's going to have everybody who wants to sell on a probate, and you're going to be golden. Now, that's perfect. So it would give you speed. And if that was it, it's great. Here's the cons of it. The lists are typically old information, 30 days plus. And in probate marketing, speed kills. So if I go down to the courthouse once or twice a week and pull a fresh list, and I'm calling, I'm mailing, I'm all over it. If you're getting a list from 30 days ago or 60 days ago, you're way behind. The average cost for a probate list is anywhere from $100 to $300 per county. I found the more I paid, the worse the information got. And you just get kind of tired of it after a while. All probate leads have to go through the court system. My recommendation is find a way to pull the list, either manually pull them down there or get an online business account. It's usually between $100 and maybe $300 to get yearly access to pull that data. So hopefully that helps with you. Remember, if you're buying that list, that means probably thousands of other people are buying that exact same list. You got to find a way to get it up on your competition. Is the best way to do it. Awesome. Joe says, any knowledge on Jersey, Monmouth, Middlesex counties? No, but you can simply go there to your county sites and educate yourself on it. Or worst case scenario, when you have some time, go ahead and visit the court and just kill them with kindness. And become a student and learn. Guys, it's really not complicated. Once you understand the process, you will have a service that you can offer to your sellers that most investors don't understand. This is much more than just buying a house. The real estate is just a byproduct of people's issues. So people pass away, people get divorced, partners break up, people do bad flips. Our job is to find the opportunity and make a win-win situation out of it. So do you use a ink letter? So let me simplify this. You do not want to do handwritten probate letters. They don't work. I've already tested that out. Do not do that. You want a nice professional letter, and it's all spelled out for you. Maybe 3 paragraphs, very short. And I use white letter, just a white piece of paper. And then what you'll want to do is put use black ink and use a 14-point font. And here's the secret. Where is it? Where's my handy? Here it is. On the bottom, you're going to put your name. So on the bottom, I would put Rick Ginn. And right below it, I'm going to take this beautiful blue flowing ink. If you have like a felt pen, even better. And then just write your name above it in a blue ink. It stands out. It looks like you took the time. Now, I sign hundreds of these a month. Zach does them too as well. It just gives that personal touch. So, and I find it doesn't matter what type of printer you use, like an inkjet printer is probably the best in my opinion, but just go ahead and leave a space so you can sign your letters personally. Blue ink has a tremendous effect. I don't know why, because it just looks authentic. So, good question, Joe. Chris asks, what type of response rates are you getting from the first letter? I'm going to tell you right off the bat, guys, response rates, they don't really matter in probates. It's good to know. You just want to make sure your phone's working. But let me let you know a little secret. I sometimes go a month without getting a phone call. Am I going to quit? No. So how much does it really cost me to do the probate marketing? If I go down to the courthouse and I pull the list myself, I get the data, I print up letters, right? I sign them, I put a stamp on it, whatever, 50 cents, 52 cents. And so our average county, we have about 100, 120 leads a month. That's it. So I do anywhere from 3 to 5 counties. All I need is one probate deal to pay for 3 years of marketing. That's it. So don't worry about a response rate because it doesn't matter. I just need you to get that one phone call to take a deal down. Now, in the old days, the phone used to go, we used to get 10, 15% response rate. I probably have less than 3% response rate, but I have some counties, I only get 2 or 3 calls a year. But I mean, they are huge profits. So remember, you're not paying thousands of dollars a month to do this marketing. You only need one deal to make a huge difference in your life. And I want you to understand that it does not, you don't need 20 deals. Guys, most of you are trying to get your first, second, or deal. And then once you do that, you can figure out how to step up, how to scale it, use a VA, use a partner assistant to help you go with that. So I wouldn't worry about the response rates. I focus on how many contracts I write and how many deals I close. Because response rate doesn't, so if you mailed out 100 letters and you got, say, 3, 4 phone calls and you were able to write one contract and make it close and you made $30K off of it, and that cost you what, $50 for the month? I'm not worried about the response rate, nor should you be. So, how many inbound calls, leads do you usually find it takes to get deals by letters? As I'm going to follow up on this. Sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's 1. I'm not worried about that. These are the most profitable deals. You're not making $2,000 or $3,000 on a probate. My average probate is in excess of $30,000, and they're the easiest deals I actually do in my business. So, okay, Joe, I'm going to follow up with you here. What's a normal amount of probate properties do you find each month from the county courthouses? I'm seeing 60 to 100, curious. So that's all going to be dependent on the size of your population. So you can follow like morbidity rates. I don't do that. It's a little gothic for me, but if you have a huge population, you're probably going to have a large, you'll have a large probate list. If you have, like, a lot of my counties are very small. I have one county we only get like 30 leads a month on, but I think that's out of 42,000 people. So you'll see a correlation with the amount of probates to the population. So it's weird because some months will be huge and other months are off, but Apparently people die, and it's pretty predictable in how it happens. The question is, do they own a piece of real estate? So that's the other piece we have to have. So usually the bigger the population, the better it's going to be. Keith, what's up? I'm going to a probate with my cash buyer tomorrow. Awesome. If you can share more details, we can all learn. And if there's anything I can help you out with, there is not a probate deal I have not put together before. So awesome question, guys. Keep them coming. Listen, the only bad question is the one you guys don't ask. So if you don't ask it, I can't help you with it. And I'm going to open it up a little bit here. I got, as long as I keep getting questions, I'll stick around. If you guys want to learn more about a little more advanced strategies, go to probaterick.com. But as I said, if you got any questions. Jay says, can I be this at 16? You can, listen, my son deals with sellers like all the time. He deals with 95-year-old war veterans. And I told him from day one, don't let age get in the way of what you do. It doesn't matter. I find the younger you are, in my opinion, the more open you're going to be and the more you can learn from the process. So you have a huge leg up being 16. And what I'm going to tell you is, if you guys haven't learned anything, the reason why Zach's where he's at, because I opened and challenged his mind to do things that the school system was never going to provide for him. The days of just going to college, getting a good job, and depending on one employer to take care of you the rest of your life, they are absolutely over. And so the sooner you get started, Jay, I would suggest you find out everything you can about wholesaling. Everything you can about wholesaling, because I've been doing it 17 years and I can do like whatever I want. I just really enjoy life. So I went to college. I took the big corporate job for 12 years and it didn't get me anywhere. So I think you're well on your way. Just keep focusing. Just keep focused on that. Okay, I'm working down here. Okay, I'm gonna just go on. And if you guys want to give comments, you guys kind of let Jay know, is here's a little secret. The first 50 deals I did, now I was 33. I didn't use one nickel of my own money. So Jay, what you need to do is get educated on how to wholesale. This is a great channel right here. You go to the Flip with Rick. I share tons of contents. Zach shares tons of information on how to work with people, but most people get started on wholesale don't have any money. So you got to figure the art form of how to put a buyer and seller together and legally collect the money. There is a process and you have to follow it, but there's so much information out there on YouTube alone, Facebook, Instagram, but I would follow the Flip with Rick. I know a lot of you guys connect with Zach, and he has a way of connecting with you guys, and that's what I love about him, and that's why we're such a good match in what we do. So if you guys have any positive suggestions for Jay, 16, man, I didn't start till I was 33, so think how much more you'll know about it. So Zach did his first property from the time he started wholesaling. He started off bandit signs, and he did his first property within 3 weeks, just to give you an idea. And he did it from start to finish all by himself. I did give him guidance, but he did it. So Jay, you're well on your way. Keep going. Okay. Just wondering if I could specialize. Ryan asked, can I specialize in probate as a real estate agent? Absolutely. You just got to know what the process is. Unfortunately, most real estate agents are so focused on just listing the property, they don't understand what the probate process is. So here's a little tip for you. You can legally list a property even while it's in the probate process. And if you can learn to explain to your seller that you can actually get the property sold before the probate process is over, you will provide a huge, valuable service for them. Now, sometimes when the property's beat up, you can even go out and find investors, and you can make a commission on both sides. So something to think about. There's a lot of competition with realtors on there. So if you understand the probate process in your state, I would go study it. It's not as hard as you think it is. And once you understand on how to get the property sold quickly for them, if you wait till that probate process is over, a lot of times you're going to wait at least 6 months to 1 year for your commission. And the property is going to cost more money in taxes, insurance, usually a mortgage payment for your client. So you're going to give them a huge advantage of helping them liquidate that property. So absolutely, real estate agents really underutilize this. So Joe asked, how much you paying for a letter you send? So I don't even do, it's really, really simple. So we process probates twice a week. So typically on Tuesdays and Fridays. And it's the cost of a letter. So what's that? I don't know, 3 or 4 cents. No, the paper's probably 2 pennies. The letter is probably 3 cents. So that's 5 cents plus the printing and then the stamp. So on average, it's going to cost you probably 55, let's just call it 60 cents. So if you're going to mail out 100 probates in your market, it's $60 a month. So if you did that, if you just did 10 months, I suggest you do 12 months, between $600 and $720. That's why I'm just saying you only need 1 deal. Guys, this is the cheapest way to put a wholesale together from start to finish. I guarantee you. All the other ones, if you do some of these advanced strategies with SMS and you have to do all the skip tracing, it gets very expensive to do thousands of people. These are small lists and it works very, very well. Okay, Chris asked, do you take on any property? Absolutely. Now, I take on any property. It doesn't mean you need to take on any property. So if it winds up being commercial and you're not comfortable with it, find somebody you can reach out to that has a history in doing commercial deals. Luxury is something you want to partner up with. Hopefully it's something that would be, it doesn't need too much repairs. If not, you need a big fix and flip guy. I love apartments. Apartments, typically, you're not going to deal with too much in probate because they have an entire set process, and it's a little bit more complicated. But I have seen small ones like 10 units and less go through it. But once they're over 10 units, they pretty much have it all set out in a legal structure. So it's not as personal. It goes on their however their business structure is. So. Okay, I'm scrolling here. Let's see how far behind I am. Oh, we're getting caught up here. Guys, keep asking the questions. And if you want to ask anything having to do with real estate, if you want to ask questions about Zach, because I never get on here, if we can have some fun with that. Okay, Ryan says I just answered his question, so that's good. I'm going to skip that. Okay, let's see here. Cool. Joe asked, do you look up the heirs of the property if for that month of probate list polling they haven't been assigned the PR? I'm not sure it's too early in the process to start marketing. Do you look up the heirs of the property? So typically when a probate's opened, the first process, at least in my state, now it's a little bit different, 3,600 different counties. So is usually they're filing a petition to appoint an executor or a personal representative or a PR. Once you have that assigned person, you know who has the authority to sign anything. By the way, so you guys know when someone's assigned the PR or the executor, they now have the legal ability to enter into a contract with you, even list a property, sell a property. It has to be overseen by a judge. But once they're assigned the PR or the executor, they now have the power to enter into a contract with you. So I'm not sure if I'm missing part of this question. Usually the PR is stated like right off the bat. So unless you're doing obituaries or something like that, it's the only way to be different. So last one, Joey, thank you for all your answers. Keep asking them, guys. The only bad questions are the ones we don't ask. And just says, do you wait to send the next letter in your 12-month letter campaign? So it's real simple. I like to mail 2 letters. So first letter is when we get the lead. The next letter is 30 days after that. And then what I do is put them in a postcard follow-up sequence. And then I'm going to have a cold calling. We're going to try to reach out to them at least 3 times on the phone. 1 SMS and 2 phone calls. Once again, it's all in your comfort level on how you want to do it. So I'm going to keep doing it until like I don't get anywhere after a year, and then I'm going to move on and look up and see if the property was sold. So every 30 days is the best way to strike on probates. Don't sit there and call them every like 10 times a day. It doesn't work. Okay, Oscar asks, can you please explain the process a little more thoroughly on how they can sell the property before it's finished going through probate? So, Oscar, I'm not sure what state you're in, but like in the state of Florida is when you open up a probate process, there's a start and a finish. And you would agree that the real estate is usually their biggest asset in the probate. And number 2, it's the most complicated. What do I mean by complicated? There's a lot of moving parts. What happens is if you have a house and it's vacant, then what happens? A vacant house, especially in Florida, if you don't turn on the air, you know what happens in Florida if you don't turn on the air for 6 months? You'll come back and your walls will be full of mold. There's a lot of humidity and moisture in Florida, and so you have to run the AC. Well, most people won't run the AC when a property's in probate, because why? They want to save some money. There's expenses to the property. So imagine if the seller had to, if the PR now has to pay the mortgage payment, they have to pay the electric bill, which can be $300 or $400 a month in Florida in the summer, and then the insurance bill, the tax bill. I mean, it becomes overwhelming. So if they can't sell that property in a reasonable amount of time, it can actually wind up costing their estate. Estate is everything that person owned. It can cost $10,000 or $20,000 extra. So the courts recognize that. They know these properties can become a burden on family members. And so they have a system set up where the attorney can just file for a motion to go ahead and liquidate the asset. As long as everybody's in agreement on it. And a lot of people think that you need to have an appraisal from a court system. You don't. Now, maybe in your states it might be a little bit different, but in the state of Florida, if you have a buyer and a seller and they agree to a contract and it's a legitimate contract, for the most part, the judge is not looking on how much the property is selling for. Obviously, if there's a mortgage on the property, it's got to sell for at least the mortgage amount, if not a little bit more. So, and guys, do not forget, probates are the absolute best deals to do creative financing. If somebody has passed away, it's so easy to take over that mortgage if the family agrees to it. And a lot of times it can really solve a problem fast. Still have to go through the probate process, but a great way to get creative financing. Oscar, I hope that answers it to you. If they can sell that house quickly, they can stop the bleeding on the property. So imagine if they got $50,000 from the sale of their grandmother's estate. Now that $50,000 goes into a bank account and it can't be dispersed till the final settlement of the probate, but people like that because the bleeding stops. So I hope that answers that question. Okay. I was waiting for this one. So Brian asks, have you ever thought about reaching out to a funeral home directors, assisted living facilities in addition to probate properties? Ryan, I strongly recommend against that. It's just, see, now you're getting into like the grave digger type of deal. So There's a lot of programs out there that do what they call like pre-probates. Most of them are just pulling off the obituaries. It's just easier to do it the correct and like legal way, because I just don't think you're going to start off a great conversation with a funeral director or anything like that. There's a lot of privacy issues. For God's sake, somebody just died. I'm going to tell you to stay away from this. Stay away from this type and going to the obituaries. I like how you're thinking, but when it comes to death, I think people need a little bit of time and space to grasp it. And that helps. Oscar's in Colorado. So Colorado's an interesting probate state. I've actually helped people doing deals there. It's a little bit different. So, okay. Joe asked, this is referring to the air question. Do you typically wait until they are assigned the PR to start marketing, or is it okay to market while petitioners are still being assigned? You can do it either way. It's helpful when you have the PR assigned, because you know who's in authority to make a decision. So if you've identified a property and a property is going in probate, if you want to do it that way and they're not assigned it, here's what I do is just put on the, you can mail to that property. So say you found John Smith passed away, they're opening a probate, there's no PR set yet. You can mail your letter and put on there to the estate of John Smith. And it usually gets in the right person's hand, because someone's usually in charge of checking the mail. So if you're going to do that technique, just put on the title to the estate of John Smith, because you don't know who the assigned PR is. So that should help. All right, Chris asks, what process do you use to determine the value? Do you use MLS comps? Do you hire an inspector? Do you go inside the house yourself? And Chris, I'm going to give you like a general answer. All those suggestions work. But what I like to do is I like to use PropStream, because I can, in 5 seconds, I can go to my PropStream account. I can pull up on if there's a mortgage on the account. I figured out what the equity is, and it's really, really simple. Plus, it'll give me the comps in there. If you guys got a moment, you can go to listrei.com and check it out and get a free trial version. It's really killer, because it lets you look at values and everything right there. To me, that's the easiest way. Yes, you can go online, you can look at Zillow, but if you have the ability to go inside, look at the house, do it. A lot of the probates we buy, they're vacant and we don't have access to the house, but we walk around the entire exterior of the house. Now, let me give you a huge pro tip on this. I've been doing this a long time. When you walk around the house, you're probably going to draw the attention of your neighbors, and they're going to ask you, what are you doing here? And it's very, very important that you do not scream to the world that you're looking to buy this house, because you're going to have the Joneses next door, and they probably have a relationship with that family, and they're going to reach out and say, you know, I heard you're selling that house. And they always want to get in on the action. Do not give yourself competition. If you're walking around the house and go, listen, I was just driving by and I saw the house was empty. And then I'm going to turn to the neighbor and go, do you know anything about this house? And they're going to give you a 10-minute spiel on everything that's going on with the house, and just use it for intel. Do not divulge you're buying that house. I promise you, you're just going to create competition amongst your neighbors. So good question. Awesome. Okay, guys. Chris asked, do you have any raw land probate deals? Does your process change for land? No, exact same thing. So the deal is a lot of, sometimes land or like commercial buildings are typically owned in like a corporation or an LLC. So probate's much easier when it's in the personal name of the person, and that usually is how we come across these deals. So yeah, but raw land, if somebody, a lot of people land bank and they hide it and they pass away, it belongs in their personal name, absolutely. So, hey guys, I'm wrapping up on questions here. Now, I'm going to open it up. Anything outside of probates, if you guys want to talk about marketing, we can talk about marketing, and I give it like 10 or 15 more minutes. So you mentioned earlier it takes 60 to 90 days. Is this from lead to deal closed from the contract or deal the close time frame? Well, honestly, usually from the time it's under contract. Sometimes people come to quick decisions with us, which we love. But I will tell you this on probate. You got to give people some time. If they feel rushed, they're going to go with someone else they may feel more comfortable with it. So typically, most probates take a year, if not 2 years to complete. To get them done in 60 or 90 days, I mean, that's awesome. And that was probably my biggest fear of doing probates, is like how long they take. And once I sat down with a probate attorney, he says that you don't have to wait till the end. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, say that again. He goes, no, you got to file this motion and they can liquidate the asset and you can have the property sold. Why do we want the property sold? We get paid and the PR gets the headache off their lap. So that's the advantage of it. So now I've had them go on longer. I've had them go on less. It doesn't matter. So good question. Okay. Barbara asking, any additional paperwork needed or just an assignment of contract? Just depends on your skill level and what you want to do it. So if I'm starting out and I don't have any money and I know it up front, then you're typically want to do an assignment of contract. And what an assignment of contract is, it's simply, you have a contract on the property. It is a separate agreement. Most of them are just 2 pages. And basically you're going to allow someone like Rick Ginn for a fee to go ahead and take over your position on the contract. I want you to understand, an assignment, you can only sell the contract. And a lot of people try to wrap and do pictures of the property to make sure you stay legal. Just make sure you're doing an assignment of contract. It means you have a really good deal on it. So if you're buying a house for $50,000 and this guy's agreed to buy your contract for $65,000, your assignment fee is $15,000. What's the advantage of this? A, it doesn't cost you any money out of your pocket. Number 2, there's no closing costs for you. The typical closing cost is anywhere from 2 to 3% on a property. So if I buy it with my own money, and then I have to resell it, I'm going to have about 6% in fees, which is a significant amount of money. So yeah, just a simple assignment contract. And remember, a lot of these houses are vacant and the owner's out of state. Is the perfect opportunity. And it's easy. And when I send my buyers by, they love it because it's vacant. And most of them just walk around the property and kind of give you like a yes or a no right off the bat. So really, really simple. So Barbara, that's just for like an assignment. I do suggest you can do assignments. If you guys want to even try to pocket some more money, a lot of times you can work with an investor and split, come up with some sort of proceed. You can come to an agreement where you split the proceeds and you can learn from the process. And that way, when you have a deal that needs money to fund, you're not missing out on that opportunity either, but either or. So good question. Oscar says, what do you say to sellers when you assign the contract? Do you give them a call or tell them you are selling the contract to someone else? The bottom line is the PR, they don't live in the house. And if you enter into a contract, say you're going to buy the house for $50,000, your obligation is make sure that $50,000 follows through. So I fully disclose I'm a real estate investor, and this is what I do for a living. I help people sell their houses quickly, and I make it a very simple process. If you're going to go into detail, a lot of times I tell my sellers, if they ask me, what are you going to do with the property? I go, that all depends. If we can put a deal together quickly, I'll figure out the best way to take care of this property and get you your money to get it closed out with really no cost for you. And that's, I always try to sell them the benefit of what they're doing. Sometimes, for the truth is, some of the houses I keep for rental, some I flip, some of them I assign to other wholesalers. It doesn't matter what I do with them. Like, don't get so caught up into like you got to tell them everything you're doing. They don't care, man. They just want you to be able to buy the house. The worst thing you do is put that thing under contract and not find a buyer to find out you put it under for like way too much. So make sure you use some sort of software that can help you evaluate the deals on them. Hopefully you're buying them cheap enough where it makes it work. So, okay, guys, I'm running out of questions here. I'm going to leave it open for like another 5 minutes. Just to sum it up, if you guys aren't doing probates, please go do them. I'm telling you, it is a game changer in your business. It makes a huge, huge difference in what you do. As I said, my biggest regret in probates is I didn't do them earlier. I started in 2003 and I did them by accident. And the funny thing is, guess what? You know, I found them by accident because we found the houses that were beat up in poor condition. Well, a little secret to find those houses before you do Driving for Dollars, you can simply do the probate marketing. You guys want to learn more, go to probaterick.com. Let's see, any other questions? I got any Zach questions on there? You guys want to know? Zach is out and about. I believe he is touring the state of Florida this week. So he is off today. So for those of you who don't know it, I'm Zach's dad, Flip with Rick. And I love real estate investing. It provides me everything I want. I love helping people out, and I love being able to wake up every day and do whatever I want, whenever I want. And when I made that dive into real estate investing, it worked very, very well for me. So guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and post it on the Flip with Rick group. If you have any comments past this, go ahead and post it below. If I miss it, I'll try to answer it after the fact. Guys, do probates. They're simple. They're neglected properties, and they're most often vacant. They're the easiest properties to wholesale. For those of you more advanced, you can fund them, you can fix them, flip them, you can churn them in the rentals. And I told you, creative financing is a game changer. Keep in mind, if somebody passes away, very, very few times does the estate object to you taking over their mortgage payments and just giving them some money up front to cash them out. It's a great, great tool if you guys are interested in creative financing. Wholesaling, anything, please make sure you're doing probates. I appreciate you guys. I hope there's a little bit of a change from Zach coming on here. And I think every now and then I'll come in and offer my expertise on whatever marketing or whatever you guys want to talk with on flipping properties. So that's it, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Chris, Oscar, Barbara, Joe. You guys have an awesome weekend. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same place, man. Go flip a house, guys. I'll see you.